What's up, gangsters? How about a quick review of some really cool stuff that I got from Uschi van der Rosten. Let's take a look. Alright, so I've got a whole pile of cool stuff here, but what I'm going to start with is the thing I know that I will use probably the most. And this is Uschi's new texture stencils, and this is great because I have been after him for over a year to make some of these, and this is really cool. As you can see, these are in brass photo etch, so easy to clean paint off of, and these are going to be fantastic. Now, if you're wondering what the heck these are for, okay, these are for airbrushing like a marbling layer when you're black basing. That's what I use them for, or for really creating any kind of tonal variety with your airbrushing. And just to compare them to some other ones that I've been using, okay, this one from RB Tools is also pretty cool. You can see it's got a really small texture to it, but when you order it, you just get the one. The cool thing about Uschi's is you get 3 different sizes, which is nice. It also, this compares to the ones that I started using originally from Art Tool FX. And you can see these are much larger, and you get a different type of texture, but they're also made out of this basically really, really thin cardboard. So yeah, they do a great job, but they are impossible to clean, which isn't really too big of a deal, but they are going to start ripping and tearing before too long, and these brass ones obviously are not going to do that. But you do need to be careful not to bend them. So anyway, I'm pretty stoked about these, and I'm looking forward to my first opportunity to use those. All right, the next thing really cool is the carpet decals. Now, I have no idea what I'm gonna do with these, but they are really cool. I mean, this is basically just a shrunk down real live photo of some kind of Arabic rug. I don't know what kind of rug it is, but it's very intricate and very cool. And I'm sure that there is some type of diorama thing that you could use these for. And here's what's cool: he includes some foil so that you can do a shaped thing like that. It's not just to put the decal on something flat and be done with it. And you get them on both sides. So that's pretty cool. He just thinks really creatively and is always coming up with neat new stuff. All right, so here we go. These things are cool. I got 3 boxes here. These are some new products in these kit boxes, and they're pretty neat. Kind of looks like a library book. Just, really cool, really high quality and creative packaging that just shows the level of enthusiasm that Alex, his real name is not Uschi van der Rosten, it's Alex Glass. And you can actually hear an interview with him this week on the On the Bench podcast, run by those crazy guys down in Australia. He just, he's just a really enthusiastic guy. He participates in Scale Modeler's critique group. He's easy to find on the internet. He's always really helpful with answering questions. And Alex is also a really, really good model maker. He doesn't do a lot of stuff, so you don't see it very often, but trust me, he is highly, highly talented. All right, so let's check out what we've got in this sanding kit. I can just never get enough of sanding stuff, so I'm always happy to add more abrasiveness to my life. Some people are going to take that a different way than I probably meant it. What do you think? Okay, here we go. This is packaged in here pretty tight, so we'll have to get this out of here. Now, yeah, okay. That's going to be a complaint. The bag is too small, Alex, but that's all right. We'll get it out of here. Okay, first thing is this green polishing stick. And I love these. This, you know, they come in different brands. Other guys put their branding on these, what probably are these same ones. I absolutely love these because when you combine these with lacquer paints, you can do some really lovely and subtle fade and abrasion wear on lacquer paints. Because it's like this, I don't know what the deal is, but these green polishers seem to strip paint even better than regular sandpaper. But it's the control. Okay, so like that's primer on top of this little thing that I've been working on. You can see, I mean, it just rubs it right off of there. Now you have to clean them pretty often, and you cannot use any kind of liquid to wash the sanding dust off of those, because whatever adhesive is used to glue the grit to the stick is water soluble. Ask me how I know. I just wipe them off on my shirt sleeve. That does a pretty good job of getting them clean, but I go through them pretty fast because of that. All right, this is just an abrasive sponge, I believe, or maybe it's just packing material. I don't know. I'm looking for something to sand to see if I can tell if it's got an abrasive on it. I kind of feel like it doesn't. Does? I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's just a sponge. Okay. So yeah, I wondered why it would be that weird shape. But there are some sponges in this bag that I will get after. And some abrasive papers. So this is good because you get a really well-rounded set of materials, because there is no single best solution for sanding. It just really depends on the situation. Okay, so this is a nice all-around sanding stick. That's good. All right, this is a three-sided little board that is equipped with 3 different grits. Looks like these are obviously from the nail industry, because you got smooth nail and shine nail. So if nothing else, you know, you can get your manicure on at the bench. Looks like I need to do a little bit of that. Damn nasty, disgusting, long, gross fingernails. Anyway, got that going, and then we've got some traditional papers. Okay, and these are nice, and you can see that these are on the European standard. You know that because it says P before the number. So if you've never looked at the differences in sandpaper grit, they are not all created equal. There are standards, you know, European standards, American standards, Chinese, Japanese. So this is good. 800, 400, 280, clear down to 180. You know, I told Alex this when he was kind of telling me that he was developing this. Some of these grits are a bit coarse for stuff that most of us do as scale modelers, but you know, you never know when it might be handy to have something like that around. There's some 2500. That's the kind of stuff that is really good for when you are polishing, or getting ready to polish some paint or a clear coat. All right, now we've got some sponges, and these remind me a lot of the not Tamiya, but the 3M sponges. And as such, I have to say I'm not a huge fan because of the way that they're labeled. If these really are like the 3M ones, they're really made for doing body work on sheet metal. And so the grits are coarser, you know, for what, you know, we would consider fine and super fine than what I think most of us would be inclined to sort of think of that as. But, you know, this micro fine, this looks pretty good. I've got some of the 3M ones in a drawer, but I don't think that I've got the micro fine one. So that'll be a nice addition. I use sanding sponges a lot. I like to chop little chunks of them off and use them with gripper tweezers. That makes an excellent little precision sanding tool. So anyway, you can kind of see what I mean here. You know, fine, that reminds me of maybe 1,000 grit. I don't know. But, you know, it's kind of stiff. It's a little bit stiffer than the sponges from Tamiya and from Infini. And the backing on stuff like this makes almost as much difference as the grit itself. Because what happens is, you know, you can have two equal grits, but if one of them has a stiffer backing, it's going to dig in more than one with a softer backing. So, you know, you just kind of have to get a feel for it. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what the absolute grit is. What matters is that you can use it effectively and make a gradual progression from fine grit to, or from coarse grit to fine grit as you're working your way through the steps. Because, you know, particularly if you are preparing something for polish, you have to make that gradual progression in order to not get scratches. So, you know, if you jump too far in your grit progression, you will have scratches that are too deep for the next finer grit to be able to remove, and you'll just be endlessly frustrated. So, all right, so let's move on, okay? This is the construction stage sanding block kit, okay? And so we got what's, you know, shown here, 220 through 100, and again, I told him that this might be a little bit confusing as far as labeling goes, because I don't think anybody really considers 220 to be a fine grit. But, you know, again, it's all relative, and as long as you can use it and you know what you're picking up every time you do it, then that's really all that matters. And I think that a lot of guys are also going to find these really handy. You know, there's just times when, you know, going back to what I was saying about the backing and how stiff it is, you know, there's times when you need a really stiff back, like you get with a, you know, just a basic sanding stick. You need a flexible back, but, you know, springy. And then you need a spongy back, and then there are times when you don't want any backing at all, and you want to just, and it's really better to just use plain paper and let your fingertip be the backing. So it's good to have all these different options around. I love it, and these things are great. You know, there's definitely places where, you know, these are you know, will come in handy. You can kind of see, you know, it's a relatively stiff sponge, so You know, these coarser grit ones are going to be pretty aggressive. And what I would recommend doing is, you know, maybe writing on the end of it what the grit number is, so that you don't ever lose track of that. I know dudes are always saying, well, you know, Patterson, why do you really care what grit it is? Well, again, it goes back to just knowing what you're picking up, because when you're in the heat of battle, you may not, you know, be as able to recognize grit on sight as you think you are, and you may find yourself picking up something that doesn't do what you think you're about to do. So anyhow, this is pretty cool. Bullet hole kit. And by the way, if you've noticed that these boxes are screwed up, don't think that's because Uschi is doing a bad job of shipping stuff. He actually sent me these, and I kept thinking, man, yeah, why that stuff should be here by now. And for like 2 weeks, and finally I messaged him. I was like, dude, did you send me? And he was like, yeah, I did. And, you know, we checked the tracking number, and it had been delivered. Turned out the postman had put it in the back of my truck, and it had been sitting in the back of my truck unnoticed by anybody and getting rained on for like literally 2 weeks. So that's why the box looks like that, not because of anything that Alex did. So anyway, this one is interesting. This box has a different type of lid. It is closed, and I'm gonna have to cut it open, and we will see what is going on inside here with this bullet hole kit. Okay, here we go. Got this thing open, and let's just get this stuff all out of here. We got some Scotch crystal clear tape. That's obviously for some important part of the process. And then we've got some other supplies here. So, let's see what very conscientiously packaged on the inside you can see. This is pretty interesting. I'm really curious about what's in the instructions now. Okay, we have got some kind of what looks like sand here, some of which is coming out on my workbench. And now I'm super curious because I have no idea what that's for, but that's a bag of sand. Okay, another roll of some very, very clear tape, a couple of tools. All right, now we got it all out. Okay, that's a swanky little ruler there, a steel ruler. Okay. Alright, that, I don't know what the heck that is. Okay, but I bet we're going to find out. Okay. And this is the kind of thing that you would, you know, be using in a diorama where you had a building with shot out windows. And so here we go with the instructions. So, combine the tape with the glass. Okay, so this must be like a microscope slide. It's a little piece of glass. Please try to avoid air being encapsulated under the tape. Consider using a small amount of water. Okay. Use the pin to punch holes into the glass. Main purpose of the pin is to cut the glass to shape. Use the steel ruler as a guide. Okay, so this pin must be like a diamond-tipped scoring pin that's used for cutting glass. Okay. Press the taped glass against the sand, glassy side down. A more random pattern will be the result. You may consider removing some splinters in the tape at certain locations for a larger hole in the window. So the sand is basically there to help you etch or grind a sort of pattern into the glass, because the material in the sand, whatever it is harder than the glass. Okay, so there you go. So the bullet hole effect on a 1/24th scale car. So that can work if you've got a vehicle that has plate glass windows in it. So that's pretty cool. And then there's a picture of how it works for, you know, like a building window. So that's pretty cool. I know that some of you guys that do dioramas will be able to make good use of that. That's pretty neat. Again, just creative solution finding by a guy who really loves scale modeling and is always looking for new ways to do cool stuff. So there you go. Some very cool stuff. His stuff always is very cool, that I think you might find some use for. So check him out. He's easy to find on Facebook and on the good old interwebs, and he's always lickety-split with good customer service. As always, I appreciate you watching. Much love.